Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
'Tis the season to cozy up with all your favorite holiday movies and shows.
You coming?
Where?
To the North Pole, of course!
Like a very Jonas Christmas movie and Home Alone on Disney+.
Should I burn down the joint? I don't think so.
Then snuggle up with the Polar Express and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation with Hulu on Disney+.
I think we're all in for a very big Christmas treat.
This season, there's something for everyone with Hulu on Disney+. Bundle subscription required. Terms apply. Visit disneyplus.com/Hulu for details.
There is nothing better than a victory Sunday when the San Francisco 49ers get the victory, get the win on the road, and they did just that today against the Cleveland Browns, walking out of Cleveland, Ohio in the frigid air, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow, and they leave week number 13 with a 26-8 victory over the Browns. Going to dive into Brock Purdy's bounce-back performance and just how clutch it actually was. Get into what may have been San Francisco's best special teams performance of the Kyle Shanahan era. It may sound crazy, but it might just be right. And we can't forget about San Francisco's defense holding that Browns offense to just 8 points on the day. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave us that 5-star audio podcast review. And just like the San Francisco 49ers, let's get into the victory, because this to me was one of the bigger wins of the year. We knew coming into this game that San Francisco would have their hands full, especially offensively trying to score on what is one of the best defenses in the entire league, with Myles Garrett leading that Browns defensive unit. They have one of the best front sevens in football. Carson Schwarzenegger's having a great year. Might as well be this year's rookie defensive player of the year out of UCLA. Myles Garrett, Malik Collins, they just get it done. They're holding opposing offenses to under 16 points a game, whereas San Francisco, and I think starting with the offense, they scored 26 points in this one. I don't think anyone expected that, knowing the weather conditions entering today, albeit they were better than we expected them to be. But I've heard some fans be down on this win. I've heard some people, whether it's on 95.7 The Game, calling into the show we do called Overtime, or on Twitter, just not being that hyped beating the Browns. And I get it, you're playing a 3-win team, it's the Browns. However, I do think you're not just playing a run-of-the-mill 3-win team. You're not playing, a piss-poor team altogether. You're playing a team that, doesn't have a great offense and is really in the middle of what looks like to be a transition season for the Browns. They may fire Kevin Stefanski, but their defense is top-notch. And when you can put up 26 points against this defense, that's a big deal. Like, don't forget that this is the most points scored by an offense on the Browns defense in nearly a month. This is more points than the Packers scored against the Browns, and a lot of people believe the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. And while I'm not going to put San Francisco in that category, this is a big win for a lot of reasons, mainly because Brock Purdy bounced back and the playoff positioning that did change with the win. Not only did San Francisco gain a game on the Detroit Lions in the wild card standings, the Lions are 7-5, San Francisco now being 9-4. As we go into now week 14, the bye week, you also get a bye week to get healthy and hopefully get some guys back like Samuel Kawanu, maybe Eddie Pinheiro, maybe get Yetur Gross-Mato back, maybe even Jacob Cowling returns, and fingers crossed Brandon Ayuk comes back, which not holding out hope for that one. But you also inch closer now, a half game behind the Los Angeles Rams, because they lose against the Carolina Panthers, which, to all those Rams fans making fun of Brock Purdy and his 3 interceptions, Matthew Stafford's 3 turnovers in that game cost the Rams a chance to win. He threw a pick six and fumbled the football on what could have been a game-winning drive. So funny how Rams fans all high on their chair discussing how bad Brock Purdy looked. Your quarterback didn't look any better. And now San Francisco sits half a game behind the Seahawks and the Rams for the number one spot atop the NFC West. And technically, they are tied with the most wins in the NFC as a whole, with the Bears, who are 9-3, the Rams, who are also 9-3, and the Seahawks, who are 9-3 as well. So San Francisco, I know it's been a rocky year for a lot of fans, including myself. The injuries, the quarterback debates, backups playing, trade deadline, non-movement, Brandon Ayuk, with the guarantees being voided. But San Francisco really has found a way to face the storm and somehow prevail. And that once again, that happened today against the Cleveland Browns. With the standings now kind of out of the way, Niners still holding firmly to the 7th seed in the wild card and in 3rd place, entering their bye week in the NFC West. A good spot to have there. I think it's the latest potential bye week possible, so a good thing for San Francisco. But diving more into this game in particular, can we erase the Brock Purdy Panthers game now, or is that still in the back of your head? Look, Brock didn't play good against Carolina, and the offense probably isn't even the biggest factor in this game, probably isn't the biggest takeaway, probably wasn't even the best unit on the field. That would go to San Francisco's special teams. We'll get to them. But Brock Purdy throws 3 interceptions against the Panthers. The entire fan base, or a lot of it, goes into panic mode. Oh my God, Brock is bad. Brock is terrible. The throws are inexcusable. And all that is true to a certain extent. You can't excuse some of the mistakes Brock made against the Panthers, but because of what transpired one Monday ago, a lot of us were hesitant as to what does Brock look like against one of the best defenses in the NFL, a team averaging 1.5 takeaways per game through 12 weeks. And I, like many, was thinking this game will be 17-10, 16-13, 16-10. I was not giving San Francisco a runner's choice, if you will, to score 20 points against this Browns defense. Now, they did that, and that's a big deal for a lot of reasons. Kind of already pointed out why that's the case, but I think for Brock, a lot of the expectations placed on him, because he's paid so much now, is to be the franchise quarterback. And through 3 of his first 4 games, he wasn't that. There were a lot of turnovers, sloppy play, mistakes. I can firmly say, while the Cardinals game was Brock's best game statistically, I think this may have been Brock's best game of the season. Knowing who you're playing, knowing where you're playing, keep in mind, San Francisco hadn't won a game on the road in Cleveland since 1984. It had been nearly 40 years since San Francisco won a game on the road in Cleveland. And that includes one of Brock's games in 2023 when they lost to P.J. Walker playing quarterback. I thought Brock Purdy looked phenomenal today. Now, the box score will not stand out to you. It's not going to be this massive 300-yard game. He was 16 for 29, 168 yards, 2 total touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing. But I thought, and this is a big thing that I talked about in the Panthers game, it's a big thing we've talked about as Purdy has progressed in his development as a quarterback, and a lot of the issues he's had the last year and a half or so is he gets too happy or too aggressive, and he constantly wants to take chances, and you have to really pick and choose. And I've used the analogy of the gunslinger of, I'd rather you be a sniper, rather you really selectively pick your choices and your spots than just being rather flippant with your throws. And I thought Brock today was not just conservative in the right way. The mobility, evading pressure. He was pressured nearly 56% of his dropbacks today. Only sacked 1 time. I thought he looked good mobility-wise. Had a read option touchdown today for about 2 yards. But his ability to evade pressure was big. Mobility was big. But I think the biggest thing in Brock's performance was throwing the ball away. Living to fight the next down, even when under pressure. looking downfield, saying, okay, nobody's open, I'm not going to force a pass. I'm going to throw it out of bounds. I'm going to throw a pass, and just live to fight till second down. Live to fight until third down and give myself and the rest of the offense a chance. I thought it was big. I thought Brock was not perfect by any means, but a lot of the incompletions were throwaways, were balls that were nowhere near defender, balls that were simply just placed to give the Niners offense a chance against a really good defense. And again, no takeaways, no turnovers by Brock, and no giveaways to that Browns defense. Again, a big one, because you're facing a Browns defense that if you open the door and you give them takeaways, you give them the ball back, while the offense on their end really isn't one to be scared of, you're probably going to lose. Like, there's a reason why the Packers lost against the Browns early in the season, because of Jordan Love turning the ball over and making bad mistakes and making bad throws, whereas Brock was really smart. He even told, I think, Cameron Wolfe of CBS Sports that I owe my team after how bad I was against the Panthers. And Brock was a force that helped lift this team to victory. He wasn't the reason they were going to lose. He played clean. He played like a quarterback that knew that I can't take a risk all the time. But even knowing who you're playing, even taking what the defense gave you on a rather consistent basis on second and third downs to help keep drives alive and maybe give you some fourth down chances, or at least keep you alive in the red zone or waste some more time off the clock. Brock also, if you noticed, like I said, and I got kind of reinforced in the comments of the last podcast, that when you take chances against especially this Browns defense, you want to make sure there's no safety help over the top and almost avoid throwing over the middle of the field. Brock did not throw over the middle of the field, twice today? In his 16 completions, it was all, in the flat, out routes. The one 32-yard deep shot to Kittle was the left sideline, no safety help. That's how you avoid mistakes like this. You throw towards the sideline. You throw towards the out of bounds to avoid giving the ball or putting the ball in the teeth of the defense. And I thought Purdy was really awesome today. He was excellent on third downs. A couple of big ones in this one. You can go to the throwaways and whatnot, but I think that, on third down, on that second drive, San Francisco's first scoring drive of the game after their 4-yard, 5-yard, or 5-play punting first drive. The second drive of the game, they get the ball back. Skyy Moore gets a big 66-yard punt return. What a massive and awesome acquisition he has been so far this season. But the ball's on Cleveland's 16-yard line. Again, you're in really good field positioning, but you're at 3rd and 8. You're about to waste that good field positioning on that second drive of the game against a really good defense. And in a game like this, you can't afford to waste a ball on the 16-yard line of your opponent to start drives. And on 3rd and 8, Cleveland blitzes. Purdy just drops back off his back foot, hits Christian McCaffrey over the middle for a check down, and just takes what Cleveland gives him. The drive extends, and they score a touchdown. That's what you want from Brock. Yes, you want to take chances downfield. Yes, you want to see him make plays and be a gunslinger on top of that. That's all what you want to see, but we have gotten into a point where Purdy may have been too overzealous, if you will, or too aggressive downfield. And you have to know who you're playing. You have to know who your opponent is, and I think Brock did a great job knowing that. And you can go further down into the drives and whatnot, but I think while you talk about Purdy's conservative nature, throwing the ball away, taking what the defense gives him, there still was that, big cock Brock stuff, if you will, in this one. And a big example of that is when San Francisco goes down 8-7, you're demoralized. There's 39 seconds left at halftime, and you're sitting there like, wow, our defense just got the ball, ran up and down on them. 9 of the Cleveland Browns' 10 offensive plays were running plays, and a big Harold Fannin touchdown with Gifford and Green falling down and not paying attention, trying to help the safety in coverage. And you're sitting there thinking, is San Francisco really going to play and go down 8-7 at halftime? How demoralizing is that? How bad is that? And this was when you got, big, BCB. San Francisco has 39 seconds, ball on their own 35-yard line. How are they going to react? how is San Francisco going to play this? How is Shanahan going to call things? And, this is an area where Brock may get a little over-aggressive, make a mistake, and now we're sitting here looking at maybe 11-7 or something maybe worse if that were to come to fruition. But it gets interesting because San Francisco goes incomplete pass, then a Brock throwaway, and it's 3rd and 10 with 20 seconds left or whatnot. And I don't know, we're all kind of thinking Shanahan, pack it in, draw a run play, and you go into halftime down 1 score, no harm, no foul. That's not what happens at all. On 3rd and 10, going back into a comment by Strawberry saying Purdy was really good on 3rd downs today. 3rd and 10. What does he do? Brock drop backs, the offensive line holds it together, and he finds Pearsall towards the left side of the field for a 1st down. He gets out of bounds, stops the clock, and gives San Francisco some time. Then he hits Jauan Jennings for a 13-yard completion over the middle. Then San Francisco calls a timeout. He drops back and hits Kittle for a 32-yard pass towards the left sideline. 3 consecutive plays, 13-plus yards downfield for each of them, one of them being 30 yards downfield. Just an incredible throw by Brock into the wind. Great throw, great catch by Kittle, holding on to it. There was some fear he dropped it. Also some fear that the Browns defender ripped it out and picked him off. It just was like, oh my God, what has happened? And that was a great play by Brock, a great play by Kittle, being, as always, kind of in tuned on the same page. And you saw a Purdy be conservative early in the first half, but also when it mattered, when it was needed. That's the big thing. When it was needed, him being able to flip that switch against a defense that does not allow big plays in a very crucial point. It was a huge swing for San Francisco to allow some points defensively, look like they're going to go down, then for Brock to lead an amazing field goal drive at the end of the first half, get the doink field goal, and you walk into halftime up 10-8 when it could have been 8-7. So I know Purdy walked in, maybe, or at least we did, a little kind of gun shy as to how he felt about how he's looked since the injury. Good game against the Cardinals, bad game against the Panthers. But he really, really tightened the screws, kind of honed things in. Later in the game, got a big touchdown pass to Jauan Jennings, made a big throw to Kittle on 3rd down, I believe, to get the ball into the red zone or the goal line area against Cleveland. It just was a really nice, solid, clean day from Brock. He made some pivotal plays, some really big throws, some clutch plays, was really good on 3rd down. In this game for the 49ers, they were, if I can find it for you here on the box score.
Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy a welcome offer of 200,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
They were on 3rd downs, they were 11 for 17 against what is one of the best 3rd down defenses in football. A lot of that being because of Brock Purdy. And the rushing attack for San Francisco really wasn't moving the ball very well. So it was on Purdy's back to continue drives on 3rd downs, to extend drives with his legs and whatnot. And I think this is the best version of Purdy we've seen so far this year when it comes to efficiency, playing smart, and kind of simplifying yourself while still maintaining your explosive ability as a quarterback. We have some comments here in the YouTube chat, as I'll get to this, by Joseph Ernberg. He says, Brock looked pretty good today. And if you guys know at home, and I'm sure you know on YouTube, when Joseph says Brock looks good, you know Brock looked really good. Joseph being one of the more or biggest Purdy detractors we have here in the show, the fan base, if you will. But when Joseph says Brock looked good, you know, was a really good day, which gets a response from Joy P saying, wow, Joseph, and no kidding, to our last comments regarding Joseph being a little more positive about Brock. Joy also adds that Brock was Brock today. Yeah, Brock Purdy looked like the Brock Purdy you paid to be a $53 million man, a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes, a quarterback that is accurate, efficient, and precise with his throws. I can really only think of one throw that kind of got away from him, and that was behind Jauan Jennings, kind of in some traffic. But besides that, that was kind of the only one. Brock otherwise was on point with his throws. The wind didn't seem to bother him too much. And I think, one of the biggest things that stuck out to me was knowing it was supposed to rain and snow, and it did in the morning and the night before the Niners played Cleveland. A lot of the fans, including myself, were like, oh, it'll be a heavy Christian McCaffrey day. It'll be a heavy running the ball outing for the 49ers. It wasn't the case. Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson combined for 28 carries for 79 yards. Not really a explosive day. You can do the math there. It wasn't a very efficient day on the ground either for San Francisco. Whereas Brock threw for nearly 30 attempts, 168 yards, and scored 2 touchdowns, and he ran a couple times and got the touchdown on the ground and whatnot. But I don't know. It's just like Brock was efficient. There really isn't, I think this is one of the few games this year you can point to and say, wow, I wish he didn't do that. Even the Cardinals game a couple weeks ago, there was a couple of throws we all said, wow, you got away with that one. And, granted, Brock's playing worse defenses in Arizona and against the Panthers, and so you can afford to make some mistakes, I guess, against those teams, knowing those offenses probably aren't going to respond. And Brock made some pretty bad mistakes against the Panthers, but against the Cardinals, 2 throws, you're just like, oh, no, don't make that throw ever again. And Brock made those throws against the Panthers, and they ended up being interceptions. Whereas today, I can't think of many, if one, oh no, Brock throw, if you will. And I think, he was evasive. He avoided sacks. He broke out of a sack in this one. He extended drives on third downs, and it was just a really nice, solid quarterback against probably the best defense they played all year. And he didn't even play against the Texans. So this was Brock's biggest defensive test, and he came out with flying colors, really efficient, really good. I think he's outplayed some quarterbacks that have played this defense and haven't been able to survive. And it wasn't as if they've had these explosive offensive players. They don't have guys like CeeDee Lamb and Jonathan Taylor, and they really don't have a number one wide receiver. Even Pearsall, who was that guy early in the year, hasn't done much once he returned against the Cardinals and against the Panthers. He kind of was a non-factor minus that big 3rd and 10 conversion today. Demarcus Robinson's still a big non-factor, albeit got a jet sweep today against the Browns. They just don't really have that one guy that stands out. It's Christian McCaffrey averaging 2.7 yards per carry and kind of being a check down merchant, which isn't a bad thing, but isn't an explosive player like some of the younger elite guys are, like Lamb and Jonathan Taylor and company, like those guys. And Kittle, for as good as he is, had the big 32-yard catch and the 14-yard catch today. He really isn't this big, 1,500-yard player like you had in the past. He isn't a Brandon Ayuk. He isn't one of those, dog elite players you can get the ball to 20 times a game. He's a guy who'll get 5 or 6 targets, and that's kind of it. He's not even utilized like Brock Bowers is with the Raiders. So, for as good as San Francisco's offense is, they really don't have, the guy you point to of, that guy's taking over a game. For as good as Christian McCaffrey is, he hasn't really taken over games. He scored touchdowns, but it's been a grind to get there for a lot of reasons, a lot of them not even being his own fault, just being the circumstances around the game. And so it's for Brock to have the game he did, I think was a big plus for me. I walk away feeling better about Brock now than how I felt about him leaving the Panthers game of oh crap, okay, if you want to use a scale being starting at 0 and going to negative and positive, after the Panthers game, it was -5. Today, I'm +5, a total inverse of that of Brock kind of won me back over. Not that I was out on him. It was just you got to really turn things back up if you want to go somewhere this season. And thankfully, San Francisco is 9-4. The offense got their groove back, played clean, consistent football, looked good for most of the time. Some might say, San Francisco, the drives were not long and elongated, and they were getting really good field positioning. And I'm not going to fault the Niners offense for taking advantage of a mistake by the Browns. I will stand by this. while San Francisco special teams deserves a ton of praise, Skyy Moore, big punt return, Darrell Luter Jr., a big fumble recovery, the defense, a handful of fourth down stops, and also a big fumble recovery by Luke Gifford. On top of that, they made their plays, and the offense was able to answer. San Francisco didn't really kind of squander a lot of the opportunities the Browns gave them. And I think if you removed the name Browns and just said you played this game against the Rams, you played this game against Philadelphia, you played this type of game against anybody else in the NFL that you would consider a top dog, you'd feel a lot better. It's just the Browns label being attached to it stinks and makes it look worse than it actually was, but I think it makes it look a little better because of the defense you played. Now, the Niners defense certainly had an easier go about it today, knowing you're playing Shedeur Sanders, who quite frankly is not very good at all, but came in today being a big unknown as to what will he look like in his number 2 start. But the Niners offense, I think, did a great job capitalizing on mistakes and kind of taking what the defense gave them, yes, but on top of that, taking what the Browns offense and special teams gave up and allowed them to have. I mean, you go to some of the drives here, San Francisco, I think, before the last fumble by the Browns special teams unit, their average starting field position was on their own 41-yard line. That isn't a bad thing. It's a really good thing. They didn't have these long, kind of grinded out drives, but what they had was, some kind of drives that stalled against a really good defense. They waited for the opposing team to make some mistakes, and it worked out because they were able to capitalize on those things. So, while maybe you can complain about the Niners offense not really having, I guess you can say, the vibrancy of, some of the better offenses in football, the Rams, the Cowboys now with Pickens and Prescott and Lamb playing good, the Patriots playing well, and others, I just think that, games like this build character, and San Francisco has really shown they have been able to win games in every fashion possible. Some games, the offense will look great, like against the Cardinals, and some days the offense won't look good like against the Panthers, but the defense bounces back and gets takeaways and can kind of make up the difference. They've done that. And today, the offense wasn't perfect by any means, but the defense got some turnovers. They forced the Browns into some mistakes, and special teams did their job, and San Francisco's offense say, hey, now they can take our charge and take a lead. So big on San Francisco's offense. Loved Brock Purdy today. A lot of confidence. Him doing the Dougie in the end zone, it was Brock's feeling himself. He's feeling pretty good, and I think he earned some stripes in this one. We have a question here, though, by Bobo asking, what happened to make Myles Garrett rip Jauan Jennings at the press conference? We don't know exactly what transpired during the game to make Myles Garrett, and I think it was Shelby Harris, react in the way they did. Shelby Harris called Jauan Jennings, and I quote here, a hoe, and said there's a reason why the Panthers punched him in his gonads, if you will. And Myles Garrett said he was saying some things that that were saying some things that were pretty bad, and that's how I'll word that, I guess. And I don't know what happened. I think what the time and place it happened was, I believe, when Malik Collins got hurt. I'm assuming Jauan, who always loves talking trash and getting under guys' skin, as you can see, as what happened last Sunday or Monday when he got punched in his nuts, that he prides himself on annoying players, getting penalties and whatnot, and doing his best to be the antagonizer. That's Jauan Jennings' middle name is the antagonizer. He's if you're playing hockey, he's the goon. If you're in the NBA, he is your Lance Stevenson, a guy that you like on your team because he's going to blow in LeBron James's ear and get under his skin and whatnot. And whether those tactics work, it's not the point. It's more about how can I get under the opposing team's skin, make them frustrated, make them pay attention to me and not their actual role on defense. And Jauan has successfully done that twice, while simultaneously making some enemies with some people on the Panthers and the Browns. So if Jauan leaves, maybe playing for Cleveland and Carolina's off the list, but I do want to give Jauan Jennings some praise, though, because I talked about this leading into this game, and funny enough, our topic of whenever Miles Harden, the Browns' nickelback, is lined up against Jauan, that should be an easy go-to target. That kind of worked out today on third down for San Francisco a couple of times, but I do want to praise Jauan Jennings because a lot happened with Jauan to begin the season. And there was the holdout, there was some contract stuff throughout, then there was Jauan yelling at Shanahan on the sideline during the Buccaneers game. Then after that game, he was revealing he had more injuries. It just wasn't a good look. There was some kind of stank around Jauan Jennings earlier in the season, and that was kind of paired with that of Brandon Ayuk and the receiver issues, and people just were not feeling the love for Jauan Jennings. However, in his last 5 games, Jauan Jennings has been efficient as ever. Now, he hasn't been last season Jauan Jennings being this team's number 1 wide receiver, but in his last 5 games, Jennings has 23 receptions, so about 4 per game. Not a crazy number, but that's what you expect from Jauan. Not going to have big box score stats, but it's the times in which he makes those catches that matter. So he has 23 receptions, 246 yards, but he also has 4 touchdowns. And he has 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games. He has 3 consecutive games with touchdowns. Jauan is becoming, the Jauan of last year in 2023 again. Without Ayuk and not much production from Robinson and Pearsall, it really has been the Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Jauan Jennings show, with Brock Purdy obviously leading the charge there. So I do want to give Jauan some praise. Jauan deserves credit for not only antagonizing opposing defenses, but also this being a very clutch player. He breaks tackles all the time, a lot of third down conversions today, a couple against the Panthers on Monday, and of course, touchdowns. You got to score points, got to have guys that can score you points, and Jauan is that for the San Francisco 49ers to a point where maybe I'm changing my tune on re-signing Jauan Jennings. I don't know, but for how bad he played to begin the season, for how bad he was, it seemed like he was kind of playing himself out of money. He's playing himself back into some money as the year has gone along. So good on Jauan Jennings. We obviously love JJ here on the show, but twofold. Great job on the field, actually production-wise, but also making some dudes upset on the other side. Again, Jauan Jennings called a hoe by the Browns defense today. So good stuff there by Jauan, good stuff by Purdy. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, not the biggest day, not his best day box score-wise, not his most efficient day, not the day I expected him to have against this Browns defense that was trending in the wrong direction in regards to run defense, but nonetheless, Christian McCaffrey has 24 more touches for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a pretty good day for CMC. So, and then, of course, Kittle, 4 receptions, 67 yards. And I just think San Francisco's offense found a way. And that's what you got to do. We got into an argument on 95.7 The Game. We had a caller call in saying that the offense was bad and he was embarrassed by this win. And I asked him, why are you embarrassed by winning against the Cleveland Browns, a place you haven't won in 40 years since 1984, and a place that has given you a lot of problems against a defensive coordinator, which your head coach is 1-9, now 2-9 against all time? Why is that embarrassing? And he said because the offense couldn't put together sustainable drives throughout. And I said, okay, that's fine. However, they scored in 39 seconds, to retake the lead. They had some scoring drives, but also I'm not going to, the Niners played one of their more complete games today. And I don't think that should be lost on people. I feel really good leaving this one, and the big reason for that is because of how good San Francisco's special teams was. Matt Gay has not missed a kick so far. Almost did. The doink off the crossbar was you can't believe, did you miss that? Are you serious? And thankfully he made it. But, from Moody to Pinheiro to Gay, they have found some consistency there with their kickers. Now, thankfully, there's not going to be a kicking controversy in the second half of the season, but Matt Gay has been money for the 49ers against the Panthers, now against the Browns, which I think is a kind of a nice 2-game tryout for other teams, hopefully no one that San Francisco has to play. But Matt Gay's been very good. Thomas Morstead, I think, has just put together a tremendous season. It's funny to see San Francisco go from what was the worst special teams in football last year by a wide margin to now probably top 10, top 5. Like, that's been a real reason why they're winning. We all knew how important kickers was because they get you points, right? Field goals and PATs matter, and you saw the instant change once they went from Moody to Pinheiro. But to see the difference in having, Skyy Moore over Isaac Guerrero or Richie James Jr. or Ronnie Bell a couple of years ago as well, like to see that difference of a guy that can actually get you consistent yardage, get you on the opposing team's side of the field, or at least get you a big kind of spark plug play. And now we have 2 of the last 3 weeks and 3 of the last 5 weeks, if you want to count Brian Robinson's return against the Giants. They've had 3 big, 50-plus yards returns. Brian Robinson, the big one against the Giants. Moore, the big 98-yard near touchdown return against the Cardinals to open that game. And then today, Moore, the big near touchdown return. If you can just get that stiff arm in, you're walking into the end zone with the punt TD. So that's a big difference to kind of get your offense, who has to carry your load for you as a team, into a better field position to score. But also Thomas Morstead as a punter, going from Mitch Wisnowski, who had a couple of good seasons, to then Morstead, who, God, don't retire. The leg may not be there as it used to be. I know that he's nearly 40, or he might be 40. I don't know. He looks like he's 40 the way his jersey fits him. But he's just been a really good kicker. The accuracy, the placement. My mind thinks of the coffin corner punt during the old Madden 2005, mini drills they used to have, and how you'd spam those, and it was so much fun doing them. Thomas Morstead is a pro at getting and keeping opposing offenses inside their own 10-yard line and pinning them in there. And he's been so good at it. I don't know every single punt he has done, but there haven't been many bad ones. And I think when you have a young defense that's going to make mistakes, and even today, right? Shanahan doesn't go forward on 4th down, punts the ball away to the Browns before halftime, and they get the ball at their own 10-yard line. Young defense that's going to make mistakes, young secondary, defensive lines depleted everywhere, to pin the Browns and give the defense a chance to at least, force the Browns to move 90 yards to score. Now, to Cleveland's credit, they did that. But you take that chance more often than not. So, love Thomas Morstead. Matt Gay's been a good reserve kicker in Pinheiro's absence, and Skyy Moore has just been a godsend. And of course, I know the Niners didn't force all the punts on special teams. They just dropped them for the Browns. And I think, if you're going to muff punts in previous years, these are games San Francisco's special teams is either the one making mistakes or at least the one not being able to recover those mistakes and capitalize on them. Whereas this year, they have been a far better team. Darrell Luter Jr., a big fumble recovery, and then, of course, Luke Gifford forcing one or recovering one today on the 4th down failed conversion attempt by the Browns. And it just goes into why playing, 3 complete phases of football matters. The Niners felt like they can get away with playing good offense and great defense in previous years and neglected special teams. And now special teams might be a big reason they're actually 9-4 and only half a game behind the Rams and Seahawks for the top spot in the NFC West. Again, playing 3 complete phases matters. Shocking how playing that and being good on special teams can actually change the outcome of games. Who would have thought? I'm sure Kyle and John are punching themselves asking, why did it take us so long to get rid of Moody and Richard Hightower and Brian Schneider and those guys? It's like, well, Niner fans were asking for this play average, be average on special teams, and now you have one of the best units in all football. It's a pretty good place to be. I do want to get to the defense, but first I want to remind you to use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. It'll be a while till I think San Francisco is back at home, but if you want to go on the road, Tennessee, you want to go watch this team play live and in person this year, use that promo code 49ersaccess. The holidays are almost here. Thanksgiving is behind us. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. I last saw you as a 28-year-old man. Now you see me as a 29-year-old man. God, I'm getting old. Wow, time has flown by. But you want to go watch this team play live. Holidays are coming up. Christmas is almost here. New Year's, birthdays are happening almost every single day during the months of December and January. Use that promo code, save yourself some money. You saw your Black Friday deals. Here is your Black 49ers access deal, if you will. And save yourself $20 off your purchase by using promo code 49ers access at SeatGeek.com. That's 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your purchase. Joseph Ehrenberg says, you don't look a day over 21. Well, thank you so much. Below the microphone, you probably wouldn't say so. I got the dad bod going on, but I appreciate you, Joseph, and the kind words here on the show. Joy says, happy birthday. Thank you so much, Joy. I appreciate your kind words. Hope you're enjoying your Week 13 victory over the Cleveland Browns. And J-Rod says he's going to the Titans game. Should be fun. Niners off the bye week against Cam Ward. This year's number 1 overall draft pick. Should be some fun. Arden Key's still out there. Jeffrey Simmons is out there. There'll be somewhat of a California reunion with Elliott Manor, their wide receiver. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. It'll be fun. The Titans gave the Seahawks run for their money, so hopefully San Francisco can kind of hold things together. And I trust Shanahan off of bye week to kind of go there and skunk those Titans, but good to see J-Rod out there. Hopefully you use that promo code, and if you haven't, get somebody else some tickets and use that promo code to save yourself some money. Things are expensive nowadays. Gas, transportation, beer, food. Save yourself some money. Joy says, they'll be there too. It's my son's first game. That's awesome. I can go back to my first 49ers game. I think I went with my uncle at Candlestick. I think it was Niners-Cardinals in like 2005 or 6. Not an ideal time to go to a Niner game, but a fun time nonetheless. Also went to plenty of preseason games at the Stick as well, so very fun. I will say this, though. I love Niners. I love the team. I don't like going to live football games. I like my couch. I like the broadcast. Granted, this is my job, so I have to get on here after stuff, but not a big fan of live and action games. But if you are, happy for you, Joy, and your son going to see your first game. Joseph says, never been to a game. I will say this, go to one game. Go to one game, see how it is. But if you're going to Levi's, get in the shade. It's really hot out there during the summer months, but wintertime, far, far better. Joyce says, my first game was 3 years ago against the Chiefs, unfortunately. So that was 2022. That was the game that they got skunked. And I think they pulled Garoppolo for Purdy because it was so bad. That's the game where San Francisco had the lead in the first half or close to the first half and then just crumbled at a halftime. Not fun, but yes, the experience is very worth it. J-Rod says he's been to the first Rams game this year. That's awesome. What a great game to go to. Also, went to the Cardinals game a few weeks back, and he says hopefully they can keep that streak alive. J-Rod may be our lucky charm here. Go to a game, J-Rod, and if they lose, we'll blame you, but if they win, we'll certainly give you a shout-out here on the show. Titans, J-Rod's coming. Watch out for him out there at Tennessee in about 2 weeks or so. And Bobo says, I've never been to a game as well, but that's the bucket list. You got to get out there for at least one game. You just have to. I was lucky enough to go to I think it was 2015, 2016. Niners, at the time, it was the Redskins, now the Commanders, obviously. But it was, my friend went for his birthday, and he bought me a ticket. It was the very, very, very front row in the west end zone, I think. Man, it was a fun time. Cheerleaders in the front row, yelling, screaming, having a good time. But That was pure luck and coincidence that I got to go. I haven't been since. I had not been to a Niner game since 2016, 2015. Been there plenty of times for practices, OTAs, training camp, but it's really haven't been able to go to a game, or really haven't chose to go. I like watching games on my TV, bigger view, and not too many crazies out there causing some ruckus. J-Rod says he went to the Niners-Broncos game too. We don't talk about that, though. No, don't talk about that. Bobo pulling some legal trouble out of right here. As part of my parole, I can't leave the state of Hawaii. You gotta get that figured out, Bobo. Get yourself out there to a game. How bummed are you the Pro Bowl's not in Hawaii anymore? What are we doing? Move that sucker back to Hawaii. Keep it out there, man. That was a fun, albeit it wasn't a great game, but it was a fun time. Hawaii, the sun, all the skill competitions. Don't have it in Vegas. You seen Alvin Kamara get arrested before the game? What are we doing? Come on. That game needs to stay in Hawaii. I also would love to see a Super Bowl in Hawaii, but the mainland probably gets that every single time. Joyce says this will be my third game this season or altogether. My husband's a Seahawks fan, so I'm surprising him. So I surprised him with the game in 2023. That's really fun. Me and my wife she's a big baseball fan. She's a Dodger fan. I'm a Giants fan. And so we don't frequent games, but if we do, we try to make sure it's Giants Dodgers. But man, the rivalries in the family are always fun. I'll even give you this tidbit here, and we'll get back to the defense in a second. My father and my family all grew up Niner fans. My favorite player growing up was Jerry Rice. I was really young, and when he left to go to the Raiders, I was like, I'm a Raider fan. And
in Walmart's Who Newville, joy started to grow. For online-only savings sure to steal the show. Tech treats and toys so dazzling and new. Walmart Cyber Monday deal soon ready for you. It's online only with very little time to spare. December 1st will soon be here, so be sure to be there. The Who's are prepared. Are you ready too? A day packed with savings. Amazing! Who knew? Subject to availability, terms and fees apply.
Now that I'm 29, in retrospect, that was a mistake, but that was more of a love for Jerry Rice. So there was some dissension in the ranks between me and my father, him being a Niner fan lifelong and me being a Raider fan for a couple of years. But once Rice left, I learned the error of my ways and went right back to being a Niner fan. Unfortunately, I had to live with the Alex Smith, Cody Pickett, Tim Rattay era for a short period of time, so it wasn't the best. Joseph says, my girlfriend's a Cowboy fan. I'd rather live with a Cowboy fan than a Seahawks fan, because you know Dallas is going to lose. You know they're going to be some trouble and there'll be some heartache, but Seahawks fans, I think, are a little more lucky than Cowboys fans are, but, it also feels nice beating on the Cowboys because, you can sit there and go, sorry, babe, and then smile like the Grinch while she turns away of got her. That's always fun. But let's get back to the defense for a second, because a lot was made of how does San Francisco going to play against Shedeur Sanders? They can't get to the quarterback. Well. San Francisco had more sacks than the Cleveland Browns did. A lot of that's because the quarterback won't give it to Niners pass rush being better, because it's simply not. But no Nick Bosa, no Yetur Gross-Matos, no Micah Williams, no Samuel Kawanu, down some of their premier pass rushers and some key depth guys. They really pressured Shedeur Sanders today, which the Browns' offensive line, I told you, wasn't that good. They've been not who they once were. But also I said Shedeur holds the ball forever, and this showed in this game. Shedeur Sanders today averaged 3.37 seconds of time to throw against San Francisco. That is the longest time to throw by a Browns quarterback over the last 3 seasons. Now, when you hear that, your first thought is quarterback holding on to ball too long, team not getting home to sack him. How is that a good thing for San Francisco's pass rush? Because, one, That's great coverage play by Green, Mustapha, Brown, Stout, and Lenore, who continue to play good football against a quarterback that is known to not get the ball out quickly, holds the ball for too long. He just really doesn't play in the offense, hence why he wasn't starting to begin the season, and quite frankly, probably shouldn't be starting now. I think none of the Browns quarterbacks are very good. But when you have a quarterback holding on to the ball for 3.37 seconds, that's probably the longest in the NFL this year by a wide margin, San Francisco, shockingly, was able to pressure him 36.7% of the time. They got 3 sacks, and they only blitzed him once. The Niners were, by numbers-wise, getting home, getting some pressure, at least 1/3 of Shedeur's dropbacks today. It's a big deal. Now, do I expect that to continue against Matthew Stafford, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff? I don't. Some of the better quarterbacks in football, you can go to the AFC as well. Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, Allen, Drake May. No, it's not going to continue. But I think for a team that knew they're playing a young quarterback, and they play one in 2 weeks as well, that they don't see the game as quickly just yet. They're going to make some mistakes. They're going to hold on to the ball for too long. They are going to wait for things to develop. They're not going to throw receivers open. They're going to wait till they're open. That really is Shedeur. Did Sanders hit one receiver in stride today or Sunday against the Niners? I don't think he did. If he did, it was a very sporadic point of it. Maybe the Fannin touchdown was kind of the big one, but even then, this wasn't really a great throw. It got there, so good for him. But I thought San Francisco's defense did a great job. Keion White got home, and all the talk of, they didn't make any moves at the deadline. Oh, no. Well, Keion White, I know, wasn't a big one, but got a sack today, did some damage. It looks like one of their better pass rushers. How good is he? Not better than most, but a fine depth piece. Clelin Ferrell has 4 sacks this year, tied for the team lead. What happened there? He is essentially a trade deadline midseason signing, so he's doing his job getting home. But Alfred Collins did a nice job today. The run defense was not good to begin this game for San Francisco, but they got some really key stops. I thought Jordan Elliott was phenomenal on that 4th down stop to kind of stymie and stop in the tracks that Browns drive. I think that was the second drive of the game, the third drive of the game. It was in the first half. But Mustapha and Elliott combining for a 4th down stop. Big play. They had 2 4th down stops today. A Fannin and Wildcat fumble. And then the Elliott and Mustapha stop. Mustapha flying around, making tackles, making some good plays in open space. I thought Jair Brown wasn't great today. He kind of regressed a little bit, but the Niners really had a hard time tackling as a whole, which wasn't good. But it did get tighter as the game progressed. So maybe there is some positivity there for the Niners defense. But CJ West starting to play better. Alfred Collins playing really good football again. D. Winters flying around making some mistakes, but also flying around making some big hits. Even Curtis Robinson, I really think the Niners, I know they signed Eric Kendricks. I don't know how much he has left in his tank. I'm not expecting much. But the Niners are really thin at linebacker, and I think getting Bethune back, at least against the run, will help. And I think you may see rotation at linebacker. Maybe you don't. Maybe they don't want to, risk losing 2 guys in the same day. I don't know. But Robinson's far better in coverage. Kendrick certainly can give you some depth. But Bethune, I think, is missed against the run. But I think as a whole, San Francisco's defense did a darn good job. They held the Browns to 8 points. Now, there isn't much to love from the Browns offense. And so, whatever. Jerry Jeudy is a non-factor. Harold Fannin Jr. had a big touchdown, but he also fumbled today. And, they're a young team that really doesn't have a direction. Kevin Stefanski's a terrible head coach, terrible play caller, just not good. A lot of mistakes were made by the Niners in the first half. Again, this defense going in too hard for the big hit, not wrapping up. Quinshon Judkins made a lot of guys miss continually. Dylan Sampson was a huge problem. he broke 4 tackles on like 3 plays today. And it was like, oh my God, like getting it run all over. But also I think San Francisco's defense responded and answered. So the coverage was good. Even Brown, who wasn't great today at safety, on the reverse to Isaiah Bond, where there was a lot of open space. And so for him to get back to the left-hand side and kind of run out of bounds, that was a big deal. And really anytime you hold an NFL caliber offense or an offense in the NFL, wouldn't call the Browns an NFL caliber offense by any means, but whenever you're able to do that, hold the team to 8 points, that's a big win. Like, this is the lowest total San Francisco hold the team all year long for obvious reasons. And I think, you saw Saleh out there fired up, dudes making plays. I'm sure I'm missing some along the way, but I love the way San Francisco answered. Keion White's playing good football. Elliott's playing good football. Collins and White and West are playing good football. They have some holes at linebacker, and they certainly still have some inconsistencies at safety, but Mustapha looks healthy. He's flying around making plays and is doing better stuff. And I think San Francisco is starting to feel themselves a little bit. Now, I think the bye week comes at the best time. They have a win. They can go home, hopefully get healthier, rest some stuff. Maybe you get some guys back. I don't know. Cowling may come back. Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. Ayuk, I have no idea what's happening there. No one really does. It's kind of the unfortunate part of the whole thing. Maybe you get Samuel back. Bethune might come back. Etrigos Montos might come back. You're not getting back a big dog, but you are getting back some dogs. And I don't know about you. Having one big dog certainly helps. They're ferocious. They're aggressive. They can certainly make more plays and fight for longer and keep you alive longer. But you ever get some really small, annoying, scrappy dogs? You're just like, oh my God, they bark all day and they're always in my face and they're so annoying. I think San Francisco has that kind of defense. They don't have the Bosas and the Warners and the number one dude. They got a bunch of annoying little Chihuahuas and Jack Russell Terriers, and they just don't shut up. And that to me is equally, or at least a step just below having your big dogs back. And, the best case scenario obviously is you go deep in the playoffs, which I don't know how that's going to happen, but to each their own. San Francisco is 9-4, so maybe Fred Warner comes back late in the season, late in the playoff run, but you got to get there first. But Niners are in a really good spot. Now, you're going into week 14, your bye week. Really good about yourself. You won 3 games in a row. That stretch, like we talked about, can you play 500? Can you win your next 4 games? They've won the first 3 of those 4, so they're in a good spot. San Francisco is in a prime position to be 10-4 by week 15 with the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks waiting for them. And those 3 games, especially those last 2, can be a season-changing game. And I don't know. I don't love the 49ers' chances, but I really like them. And if they can play like this on a continual basis, clean, consistent football, clean up some tackling problems, maybe get some guys back healthy, hopefully. I think some people should be more in on San Francisco. I said 10-7. That seems like it's going to happen, but if you're 10-4 with 3 games to go, 11-6 is firmly on the table. And the Colts don't look as good now. Daniel Jones has a fracture in his leg, and they lost to the Texans in a divisional game. The Bears, I know, are the number 1 seed in the NFC. They've only beaten 2 winning teams all year. I don't really trust them. Philadelphia's playing some bad football. The Rams lost to the Panthers because Stafford turned the ball over 3 times. If anything, this season has taught me the NFC's wide open. So week by week, game by game, but right now San Francisco is tied with the most wins in the NFC as a whole. And if you continue not to lose, you're going to be in a good spot when it's all said and done. So drop your comments down below. What did you take away from this game? Where would you rank? How would you rank and grade Brock Purdy's performance? I'd probably give it a nice A-. Wasn't perfect, but was really, really, really solid, clean football. How would you rate the defense? I'd probably give the defense a solid B. Run defense wasn't there, but the coverage was good. They weren't beat downfield much, and they got takeaways. Special teams, A+, as they continue to be one of the best units in football and maybe the best unit on the team through now 13 weeks of the NFL season. But how would you grade the team down below in those three phases? What was your biggest takeaway? Joy says an A for everyone. I like that, Joy. Go into the bye week with an A for everyone. That sounds fantastic. But drop those grades down below. Drop your comments and takeaways down below. I know the bye week's coming. Joseph says a D across the board. The bye week may be coming, but the content's not going to stop. We are in the thick of things right now. The content's not going to stop, so stay with us here on the show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can follow us on social media at 49ers.access is the Instagram. 49ers_access is the X or Twitter. And use that promo code 49ERSAccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Bobo says, I think Brock did good, but Mac Jones scores 40 points today. No, he doesn't. Mac Jones gets sacked like 7 times today. And I like Mac Jones, but Purdy's legs were a major, major factor in the win. But thank you to every single person in the comments. Joy, Joseph, Mick, Strawberry, and many, many more. You had J-Rod out there as well, going to the Titans game next, or in 2 weeks from now. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Week 13. And stay tuned for more content as the weeks go by, and may have a special one coming your way, a new tier ranking video, quarterbacks getting updated now that Brock and Mac have played. But until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and as always, stay faithful.